The one who shows a brave face to the world but fights silent, invisible battles when no one's watching. The one who's been carrying a weight that others don't even know exists. You've been strong for so long that now your own mind has started to feel like the enemy. And I want you to know something. You are not alone in this. There are two kinds of battles in life. The first is with the world outside, the challenges, the setbacks, the things that happen to us. But the second battle is the one inside your own mind. And let's be honest, that inner war is almost always the deadliest. Why? Because while outside events can cause pain, it's our own thoughts that keep that pain alive, looping on repeat. You can be sitting in a perfectly safe, quiet room, no danger, no conflict, and yet feel completely consumed by fear, or regret, or anger, or shame. Why is that? Because the real battlefield isn't out there. It's right here, in your head. You know those days where everything looks fine on the surface, but your mind just won't stop attacking you. A single thought, I'm not good enough. I always mess up. They don't really care about me. Starts small, like a drop of poison. But if you don't catch it, that poison spreads, it spirals, it tries to rewrite your entire story. This is where Stoicism becomes more than philosophy. It becomes a weapon. Think about the ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. They faced real darkness, war, betrayal, exile, loss. And yet they discovered a truth that so many of us today still miss. You can't control what happens in the world around you, but you can always control how you respond to it. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let that really land. You don't need more money. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to control every situation. You just need to learn the difference between reacting and responding. You are not your negative thoughts. You are the one who hears them. You are the observer. And if you're the observer, that means you have a choice. You get to decide which thoughts stay, which ones get challenged, and which ones you let go. This video isn't for someone looking for a quick 5-minute mood boost. This is for the warrior who's ready to stop being crushed by the weight of their own mind. This is for the person who's finally done listening to that voice that whispers, you are not enough. In the next section, we're going to break down the 7 most brutal mental traps that feed negative thinking and exactly how Stoic philosophy gives you the tools to dismantle them one by one. So don't just watch this, study it. If you truly want peace, clarity, and unshakable inner strength, every part of this matters. Each step builds on the last. But before we begin, I need you to do one thing for yourself. Drop this affirmation in the comments below. I'm stronger than my negative thoughts. If this message resonates with you, like this video, share it with someone you care about, someone who fights these quiet battles too. And subscribe if you're serious about doing the work and growing stronger from the inside out. Let's start with the single most important truth you need to understand. Your thoughts are yours, but you are not your thoughts. I know that might sound strange at first. We've been conditioned to believe that every thought that pops into our head is who we are. But just take a second and think about it. How many random, scary, weird, or just plain painful thoughts pass through your mind in a single day? If you really were all of those thoughts, you'd be changing your identity every minute. Stoicism reveals a deep but simple idea. Your mind has 2 parts. There's what happens, the thoughts that arise, and then there's how you respond to them. Negative thoughts will come. That's not a sign that you're broken, it's a sign that you're human. What truly matters is what you do with them when they show up. Epictetus put it perfectly. It isn't events themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Let me break that down. Even when a painful thought enters your mind, like I failed, I'm not enough, or they left me, that thought only turns into real suffering if you believe it. If you don't, it's just noise. It's just mental weather. Think of it like this. If you look up and see a dark cloud in the sky, you don't start screaming and panic because it might rain. You see it, you acknowledge it, you prepare if you need to, and then you keep moving. That's exactly how you should treat your negative thoughts. Acknowledge them, detach from them, let them pass. The problem is, most people let a single thought become their entire identity. They think, I had an anxious thought, so I must be an anxious person, or I had a negative feeling about my relationship, so it must be doomed. No, thoughts are not facts, they're suggestions, not commands. Imagine your mind is like a radio station. Just because a sad or angry song comes on doesn't mean you have to sit there and listen to it. And it certainly doesn't mean you have to dance to it. You can learn to change the station. Here's a powerful exercise straight from the Stoics. The next time a disturbing thought takes over, write it down on paper, then question it like a neutral judge. Ask, is this 100% true? What's the actual evidence? What would Marcus Aurelius say about this? Will this even matter in 5 years? Most of the time, you'll finish that exercise and realize the thought had no real weight. It just felt heavy because you were holding on to it. Another simple but life-changing tool, learn to label your thoughts. Don't say, I'm a failure. Say, I'm having a thought that I failed. That tiny shift in language creates space, and in that space, you find your power. One of the deepest, most stubborn roots of negative thinking is this: resisting what is already real. You don't suffer just because something bad happened. You suffer because your mind keeps screaming, this shouldn't have happened. A breakup, a betrayal, a lost opportunity. We tell ourselves the story over and over. It wasn't supposed to be like this. And that resistance, that refusal to accept reality, becomes a form of mental torture. But the Stoics drew a crucial line in the sand. They taught that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice, and suffering begins the moment we start arguing with what's true. Epictetus put it perfectly. Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well. Now, this isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's not about celebrating the pain. It's about stopping the exhausting, pointless waste of energy trying to undo what's already done. If it happened, it happened. Accept that it's real. Then decide what you do next. Think about it like this. A person standing in the rain can scream at the sky, cry and curse the clouds, or they can accept that they're getting wet, put on a coat, and keep moving forward. Which one would you rather be? So much of our negative thinking comes from wishing the past was different. Why did they leave? Why did I say that? If only I had taken that chance. But none of those thoughts change what occurred. They only keep the wound open. The Stoics had a powerful name for the alternative: amor fati, the love of fate. It means embracing what is, even when it hurts. Why? Because while the event itself was beyond your control, your response to it is entirely yours. Let's make it real. Say you failed an exam, or your project flopped. The negative mind says, I'm a failure. This always happens to me. The Stoic mind says, this happened. What can I learn from it? How do I move forward? Don't fight the moment. Use it. Here's a simple but powerful tool. The next time you catch your mind insisting, this shouldn't have happened, pause and say out loud, but it did, so now what? That one question flips a switch. It takes you out of the role of the victim and puts you back in the author's seat. Here's the truth you carry forward from today. Peace doesn't come from a perfect life. Peace comes from accepting life exactly as it is and still choosing to move forward, grow, and build from right where you stand. If this truth resonates with you, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments below. I accept reality, and I grow from it. Most people make a deadly mistake with their emotions. They treat that first raw feeling as the absolute truth. But Stoicism teaches a critical game-changing skill. Your first feeling is not final wisdom. Anger, fear, jealousy, sadness, these are instant reactions. And reactions are usually loud, messy, and irrational. If you live a life where you always obey that initial emotional surge, you're signing up for a roller coaster you never meant to ride. Think of your emotions like waves. The first one crashes hard. It feels overwhelming, but it always, always passes. If you can learn to wait, to just observe it instead of immediately acting on it, you win. Even Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor facing constant pressure and threats, wrote this reminder to himself. The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. Just imagine that. The most powerful man in the world had to consciously tell himself to stay calm and see things clearly. Let's make it real. Say your friend ignores your message. That first thought screams, they don't care about me. But if you wait an hour, maybe you find out they were in a meeting, their kid was sick, they just forgot. If you'd acted on that first emotion, you might have sent a text you'd regret, creating a problem that never needed to exist. So here's the practice. When a negative emotion hits, I want you to do 3 things. Pause. Name it. Delay your reaction. Say to yourself, I'm feeling anger, but that doesn't mean I'm right. I'm feeling fear, but that doesn't mean I'm in danger. I'm feeling jealous, but that doesn't mean I'm less. Your emotions are signals, they're data, they are not commands. Another powerful Stoic technique is called the view from above. Mentally zoom out. Instead of being trapped inside the problem, imagine looking down at your life from space. Suddenly that embarrassing moment, that heated argument, that big worry, it looks small. It gains perspective, and perspective is what kills unnecessary pain. Practice this one line. Let me wait before I react. That single sentence has saved careers, it's saved marriages and friendships, and most importantly, it has saved people's peace. Remember, you are not weak for feeling emotions. You are human. But you become wise the moment you choose not to let them control you. If you're ready to build this skill, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I pause. I choose. I don't react blindly. So often it's not the event itself that breaks you down, it's the story your mind starts writing about it. You get rejected, and a quiet voice whispers, "See, they never liked you. You'll always be alone." You make a single mistake, and the narrative begins. You're a failure. You're not capable of this. This is the trap. You start to confuse the bare facts of what happened with the dramatic, fearful interpretation your mind layers on top. The Stoics understood this mental hijacking better than anyone. This is why Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most liberating sentences in all of philosophy. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. Let that sink in. It's not the rejection, the silence, or the failure that causes the deepest pain. It's the meaning you assign to it. And most of that meaning, it's just a story, a fiction built from your fears, your insecurities, and your past hurts. Your boss sends a short, rushed email. Your story says, "They hate my work." A friend doesn't invite you out. Your story says, "I'm not important to them." You try something and it doesn't work. Your story says, "I'll never succeed." See, but what if the story is a lie? One of the most powerful tools you can ever learn to stop negative thinking is to ruthlessly separate the event from the story. Here's how it works. First, grab a piece of paper and write down only what happened, just the raw, neutral fact. For example, they didn't reply to my message for 2 days. That's it. No drama. Second, write down the story your mind is telling you. Be honest. They're ignoring me. They don't care. I must have done something wrong. A third, and this is the most important part, challenge that story like a detective. Ask yourself, do I know for a fact this is true? What's another possible explanation? Have I ever been busy and delayed a reply for reasons that had nothing to do with the person waiting? Just this act of questioning shines a light on the story, and you'll often see it for what it really is, just a thought, not the truth. This is the heart of the Stoic mindset. Difficult things will happen. That's life. But they don't get to define you. You define the meaning of what happens, And in that power of interpretation, you hold the key to your entire emotional world. Your mind is a storyteller. It's what it does. But you are the editor. A wise editor doesn't just let any sensational, unverified story go to print. So the next time you feel those thoughts begin to spiral, pause, investigate, rewrite the narrative. Because you are not the pain you feel, you are the author, and you hold the pen. If you're ready to take back that power, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control the story. I choose peace over panic. Let's be honest, we know that your mind doesn't exist in a vacuum. Your thoughts are not created in isolation. They are profoundly shaped by your surroundings. And here's the hard truth. Most negative minds aren't born that way. They're built brick by a toxic environment. The people you choose to spend your time with, the content you scroll through every day, the daily habits you don't even think about, all of it is feeding your inner voice, for better or worse. If you are constantly surrounded by noise, by drama, by chaos and pessimism, your mind will inevitably begin to reflect that chaos back at you. Seneca saw this clearly thousands of years ago. He warned, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. This wasn't just polite advice about friendship. This was a strategic lesson in mental hygiene. Think of your mind as a garden. The question is, who are you allowing to plant seeds in it? Let's break this down. It starts with the people. If you are constantly around people who complain, who gossip, who belittle others or themselves, you will start to absorb that mindset. Your brain is designed to mimic what it hears most. Then there's the content. If your social media feed is a constant stream of content that triggers your insecurity, your anger, or your shame, your mind will become addicted to those low-vibration thoughts. It's a diet of mental junk food. And don't forget your physical space. A messy room, a cluttered desk, a loud and chaotic home. This isn't just untidy, it's actively working against you. It amplifies stress and suffocates clarity. The Stoics were obsessed with simplicity and order for this exact reason. They knew that chaos on the outside inevitably leads to chaos on the inside. Here's the truth that might sting. You cannot kill negative thoughts while you are feeding them every single day. It's time for an environment detox. Start by asking yourself some hard questions. Who are the people that leave me feeling drained, and who leaves me feeling calm and focused? What content am I consuming? Does it inspire me, or does it make me feel anxious and inadequate? Is my physical space helping me think clearly, or is it just adding to my stress? The Stoic philosophers didn't just sit around thinking deep thoughts. They were masters of structure. They built simple routines, maintained clean surroundings, and sought out meaningful conversations. They understood that external discipline is what creates internal stillness. So I challenge you, for the next 7 days, commit to a detox. No gossip, no drama, no mindless negative scrolling. Clean your room. Unfollow every account that fuels comparison and insecurity. Intentionally spend time with people who are focused on growth. You will be shocked at how much quieter your mind becomes. Not because the thoughts magically disappeared, but because you finally stopped feeding the storm. Sometimes that negative voice in your head isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that you're tired. And I don't just mean physically. You're emotionally drained, mentally spent, maybe even spiritually empty. And when you're running on empty, everything feels heavier. Texts get misread. Small decisions become massive. You start assuming the worst in people. Your mind turns into a storm, not because you're weak, but because you are utterly drained. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. They didn't just preach mindset, they preached energy preservation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, constantly reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. But here's the real question. How can you possibly change your thinking when you haven't slept, when you haven't rested, when you haven't given yourself a single moment of stillness? So many of us try to think our way out of the storm. But what we really need isn't more thinking, it's recovery. Negative thinking gets louder when you're sleep deprived. It amplifies when you haven't eaten well, moved your body, or taken a break from the noise. When you're constantly exposed to social media, pressure, and other people's energy, without any time alone, your mind doesn't need fixing. It needs a break. Stoicism was never about becoming a robot. It was about being rational, and that includes being responsible with your energy. Even Epictetus, who taught extreme discipline, reminded his students, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." If your mind is full, tired, and overwhelmed, you can't learn. You can't grow. You can't see clearly. So give yourself permission. Sleep early tonight. Take 20 minutes to walk outside without your phone. Say no to one thing that drains you. Write your worries down, and then physically step away from them. You are not broken, you are overrun. Stop treating exhaustion like it's a weakness. Treat it like a signal. It's your mind, your body, your spirit telling you it's time to rest. It's time to refill. You'll often find that those negative thoughts fade away, not because you fought them, but because you finally stopped running on empty. If this resonates with you today, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I'm not broken, I am resting. This might surprise you, but gratitude isn't just some fluffy form of positive thinking. It's a weapon, a powerful one that cuts straight to the root of negative thought. Here's why. Gratitude forces you to see what's real, not just what's missing. When your mind gets stuck in a negative spiral, it creates tunnel vision. Nothing is working out. Everyone is better than me. Life is so unfair. But the moment you consciously name what's actually going right, that tunnel starts to crack open. Light gets in. Seneca put it perfectly. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. So much of our negative thinking is rooted in that feeling of lack, this constant sense that we're missing something. But gratitude aggressively counters that. It reminds you what you already have. And let's be clear, this isn't about ignoring your problems or pretending everything's fine. It's about balance. It's about refusing to let pain blind you to everything else. So in your lowest moment, I want you to ask, what am I taking for granted right now? What do I have today that I once prayed for? Who is still here with me? Just write it down. One line. That's all it takes to start the shift. Maybe you feel lost in your career, that's real. But maybe, just maybe, you're also healthy, you're safe, you're fed, you're still learning. Maybe your relationship is struggling, but maybe through it you've discovered your own strength. You've learned about your boundaries. You've found your self-worth. Gratitude isn't about slapping on a fake smile. It's about looking life straight in the face and saying, yes, this hurts, but I still choose to see what's good. I still choose to honor what remains. Here's the deeper truth. Negative thinking grows in the soil of forgetfulness. When you forget your blessings, your past wins, the times you've already survived, you start to believe the lie that life is only pain. So remind yourself, make it a ritual. Every morning or every night, write down 3 small things you're grateful for. It could be your breath, a warm meal, a memory, a person who's still in your life, the sun, the wind, and slowly you'll start to notice something. That weight in your chest begins to loosen. The fog in your mind starts to clear. Because gratitude gives you anchors. And anchors keep you from drowning when the storm tries to pull you under. If you've made it this far, I need you to understand something. You've already begun to defeat negative thinking. Why? Because awareness is the first cut, and awareness is exactly what Stoicism gives you. This was never about never having a negative thought again. That's not the goal. The Stoics didn't aim for perfection, they aimed for practice. You now know that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who watches them. You don't have to fight reality. You can accept what is and grow from it. Your first emotion is not the final truth. You can pause, reflect, and choose your response. The stories in your head, they're just stories, and you hold the pen. You can rewrite them. Your environment shapes your mind. Clean your space, and you clear your head. And when you're tired, it doesn't mean you're broken. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is rest. Above all, you now know that gratitude isn't soft, it's strong. It's your armor against the dark. Marcus Aurelius faced more loss, more betrayal, more pressure than most of us will ever know. And still, every single day, he wrote, he trained his mind toward peace. So train yours, daily, quietly, relentlessly. You don't have to be loud. You don't need anyone else to understand. Just keep showing up for your own mind, and your life will begin to change. And if no one has told you today, you are doing better than you think. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are aware. And from awareness, everything can grow. This is how you end negative thinking. Not with force, but with daily clarity, inner stillness, and unshakable stoic strength. If this video helped you, hit like. It helps more people find it. Comment your biggest takeaway or favorite stoic quote below. Share this with someone who needs more peace in their life. And subscribe, because we're building stronger minds together. Drop this final affirmation in the comments if you're ready, and subscribe for more helpful contents.